Now, reader, I ask that you visualize a special pendulum. It is hanging very still. On the bottom of the pendulum, at the disc, shines a bright white light. Picture this pendulum as immovable, a pendulum that no power on earth can move, change, alter, or harm. Now visualize a second pendulum superimposed directly over the immovable pendulum. This second pendulum, however, is an unreal, imaginary facsimile. The pseudo-pendulum differs from the real one in two respects. It is not immovable and can swing from side to side in the manner of an ordinary pendulum, and it contains no white light. Where the white light exists on the genuine pendulum, the pseudo-pendulum has a clear prism instead. We've all seen light shining through a prism whereby the light was sundered into the colours of the spectrum, from red at one extreme to violet at the other. In your mind's eye, give the phantom pendulum a slight swing and imagine its movement in slow motion. You will see the white light from the immovable pendulum come shining through the swinging prism, broken down into the rainbow colours of the spectrum. The swinging prism changes from red at one peak of its swing to violet at the other, back and forth from red to violet to red again, changing to all the colours back and forth again and again until the pendulum stops. When it has stopped, the unrefracted white light re-emerges and the phantom pendulum vanishes. The colours are equally divided along the swing. Therefore, half of them appear when the pendulum is to the right of centre, the other half to the left of centre. It is paramount that we understand that the white light of the immovable pendulum is the substance, the basis in being, for all the colours seen on the prism of the imaginary pendulum's swing, and we see that the imaginary pendulum's movement causes it to appear as the many colours of the rainbow, its colour at any particular moment depending on where it happens to be along the swing. Reader, I haven't the slightest idea if one would actually see the pendulum change into all the colours of the spectrum if he were to swing such a prism to and fro before a bright light. I'm only asking that you picture such an event. There is no complexity intended here. This is an uncomplicated and simple picture you are being asked to imagine in your mind's eye, but hopefully it will serve to illustrate the still centre from which the age-old enigma of dualism springs. It will allow us to explain a number of metaphysical mysteries that have puzzled the world for generations. We return to the illustration. Notice when our attention is on the swinging disc, changing from colour to colour, we are but barely aware of the real white light behind it, unmoving and unchanging. We see the swinging arc grow smaller as the prism slows and the changing colours increase in intensity because the prism is closer to the white real light, until finally we become fully conscious of the unchanging pendulum and its transcendent white light. Then the pseudo-pendulum vanishes into the brilliance of the white light. Now, with this in mind, we return to the here and now. Reader, we know this present now is the time of comprehension, the time of experience, the time of concrete awareness. Stretching infinitely in one direction of not now is the past, and in the other is the future. How much more is this now than all the dreams of the future? There is no tangibility or sound or warmth in the future not now, but they are here and now. The past is not now, only the now is now, a transcendent now, infinitely above and beyond the not now, past or future. We place this now into the picture of the swinging pendulum. This present transcendent now corresponds to the unchanging white light pendulum. In our great concern with the swings of the pseudo-pendulum between past and future, this happy now is hardly noticed. Even when it is fleetingly observed, the magnitude of its transcendent nature remains unnoticed. Now is the real, the white light, while the not-nows are the swings of the not-real. Furthermore, we see that now is the light which is the total light of all colours on both sides of the spectrum. We see that the centred now is infinitely more than a real between two unreals, for it is being all there is to the entire duality. We even see that the unreals are not unreal, but incomplete views, refracted views, segmented and divided views of a vacillating view of the center real. We find a center for every apparent duality. The change demanded of us, about which we spoke earlier, is our own individual change of interest from the extremes to the center. Heretofore we've been attempting to go from one extreme to the other, from the bad to the good, from agony to ecstasy, from the sick to the well, from the bound to the free, from lack to affluence, from unreal to real. Now listen, the attempt to get good only pushes the phantom pendulum away from the center real, and necessitates a swing in the other direction as well. The search for one extreme makes the discovery of its opposite inevitable. The longing for wealth brings us an equal and corresponding fear of poverty without fail. Now let us use the pendulum illustration to get down to the basic misinterpretation, that we may be able to lay the axe to the root. None of these illustrations means anything beyond the academic unless we are able to put ourselves into them. If we can do this, we are more likely to examine the points of the illustration and, most important of all, try them out. Listen with the heart, the belief, the judgment that there is an ego identity here who contains life, consciousness, awareness, they're all the same thing, is the belief that creates, constitutes, and is the pseudo-pendulum itself. The judge, the believer, and the swinging pendulum are identical. But what makes this pendulum swing? Why is it ever swaying between mountain and valley, good and evil, life and death, male and female? Why? The answer is so simple it causes the ego to scream in contemptuous disbelief. The old man will argue with it and deny it until the cock crows thrice. The primary force that sends the old man, the phantom, the pseudo-identity swinging its miserable light-refracting way between its own self-created opposites is, this is good and that is bad. I like and don't like. I want, I don't want. It is as simple as this. Personal judgment is the action that sets the pendulum into its sundering, fatiguing, aging motion from extreme to extreme. The judge is the swinging pendulum itself, whereas identity being I is awareness, the unmovable, unchanging center light. We understand this, we say, but our understanding is only theory until we stop making judgments and holding opinions, until we let go our identification as anything but the center light. Again, what is this center light? It is opinionless, motiveless, judgeless, desireless awareness. It is the same consciousness that comprehends these words, divested of that nothing identity who says, this is good and that is bad. It is this consciousness of being, here and now, simply being conscious of being without condemning everything on the face of the earth, without having judgmental opinions of this or that, without desire to acquire or get rid of, without motives for every action. Primarily, it is the end of the swinging pendulum and his I like and I hate.